You may remember Paul and Heather from our first season. We visited them right back here in their backyard and they cooked a great meal. So they recently saw our brown box special and decided to decide for themselves, once and for all, who's the better barbecue cook, the husband or the wife? Let's head into the backyard and answer that question. Paul and Heather, you guys were gracious enough to have us in your backyard a little while ago. You both cooked up some great food. It was fantastic. I couldn't pick who's the better cook. So I know you recently saw our brown box challenge, some hidden ingredients, and we're gonna do that today. We're gonna let you guys open these boxes in a minute. I'll run over the rules, and then we're gonna find out once and for all, who's the better barbecue cook, the wife or the husband? Here's the rules. You have to use everything in the box, all the ingredients. You can go in your pantry in the house, you can use whatever else you want, but you have to use everything in the box. You have to cook on the barbecue. I understand if you need to use something else, a blender or something else. When we're done, we have our guest judge with us today, and he's going to judge you on the use of ingredients, your barbecue skills, plate presentation, and ultimately the taste. 5 points for each one. Let's find out who the better cook is. Let's open the boxes and see what's in there. By the way, there's two separate barbecues. I don't know who's going to get which one. I wrote it on here.
I have the egg.
You have the big green egg.
Big green egg.
Heather, you've got the gas grill. So what do you have in the box?
Bread, focaccia bread.
We definitely have a bread theme going on here a little bit.
Flat bread. Oh, white bread.
3 kinds of bread to use on the barbecue. These are shoshito peppers, and I'm going to be curious to see how you work with these. These are popular right now. A lot of people using them. Great flavor, not really hot.
Oysters.
A dozen oysters.
Malpeque.
Malpeque oysters.
Somebody knows I don't eat seafood.
Yeah.
Chorizo sausage and
Watermelon.
watermelon.
All
How are you
right.
going to barbecue up some watermelon? That's the real test. So. All right, so while Paul and Heather get organized and think about the ingredients that were in the box and get their prep station set up, I thought we would introduce our guest judge today, George Geeson from Porky's Barbecue and Leisure. George, thanks for coming out today and helping us out with the show. And
yeah, my pleasure.
Giving
Tough
us
job.
giving us some input. Yeah, you're going to have to taste some great food, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've worked with Paul and Heather before. They both are fantastic chefs. So you're in good hands for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the first things we're going to do today is we have 2 different barbecues going. We're cooking on gas. I guess Heather had the gas barbecue and Paul's got the big green egg, and you're going to be cooking over charcoal. Do you see an advantage for either one?
Well, definitely flavor for sure on the charcoal, and but they take a little more time to heat up and get consistent with the temperature. So yeah, they each have their benefits for sure, and they each have their specific talents.
What are your initial thoughts on some of the ingredients here? They have to work with watermelon, oysters, chorizo, 3 kinds of bread.
Yeah, I think I've never actually used watermelon on the barbecue, so I'm going to find that to be a new thing for me. But oysters should be fun, especially with the charcoal in play, and the bread. Yeah, obviously, you know, having the bread, you know, toasted and flavored is going to be neat to see.
I'm going to go check in and see how they're making out with some of these ingredients right now.
All right.
Heather, you wasted no time. You jumped right into the watermelon first off. So like George said, the curious part is how are you going to use watermelon on the barbecue or just working into the meal overall? You don't have to disclose your secrets in case Paul's listening, but I see you're hard at it.
Not a big fan of watermelon. Too wet, I think, for the barbecue. So I'm going to bribe the judge, and I'm going to freeze watermelon cubes. And I had planned on bribing the judge with just my great usual secret recipe margarita. But now I'm going to use these and make a watermelon margarita.
So not really throwing it on the barbecue, but a little bit of judge bribing going on.
Yeah, I
and
thought a
using
little
it for the meal overall.
Yeah.
Paul, you got you're not starting with the watermelon. You're going right into the
This white bread, Jeff, threw me for a loop. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not 12 anymore. I don't eat this stuff.
Peanut butter and jam in the box, and you're all set.
I wanted the peanut butter, and you didn't deliver the peanut butter. Now, the other thing that threw me was the oysters.
Yes, because you're not a seafood.
I do not like seafood at all. So, but they're solving one another's problem. My idea here, and I hope it works, is we need oyster crackers. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim it, probably leave it that size. I've got some garlic herb butter. So I'm going to soften that up. I might throw a little lemon in it. I'm going to put the pizza stone on the egg because I won the big green egg. And then I'm going to toast this. And then hopefully that'll work as an oyster cracker because I'm going to actually cook the oysters on the barbecue.
Wow.
I'm going to try flattening it to make it a real cracker. That's why all right. Again, I've never done this before.
And by the way, Paul and Heather and I and my wife Joanne are in each other's social circle and are within our group, so we're fine working closely together.
We are.
Just pointing that out. Yeah, the challenge was, I thought was going to be the plain white bread, because there's really nothing going on here. It's, you know, there's no seasoning, nothing. So I was curious to see how you guys would tackle this one. So I see some similarities. I don't know, were you and Paul talking with what you're doing with the bread? There's a lot of cutting into squares going on here.
Well, I need to make breadcrumbs
Okay.
to use this white bread, and then I'm going to stuff it with mozzarella cheese.
Okay.
I found a sheep's milk, but this is an Italian recipe I learned in Italy. I'm going to make just like a nice tomato sauce marinara, and then I can use it after if I want.
Paul, I know you were concerned about burning these. You're flipping them. What's happening? Are they coming out just right?
So far, not burning them, Jeff. And I am flipping them just to get them evenly cooked.
Do you feel you have an advantage this time around
Huge.
with the big green egg?
Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heather might as well give up.
The gauntlet has been thrown down. Everybody's curious to see, husband or wife, who has the barbecued master.
So now I've got breadcrumbs,
Okay.
and I'm going to assemble these. So you just do little cubes, and then we're going to take these, cut it into a triangle, stuff it, and make sure you've got some clearance on both sides. And then we press the edges all the way around like this. And then I'm going to run them in an egg wash, and I'm going to puree those breadcrumbs and dip them, and then we're going to fry them up and serve them with marinara sauce on the side. And it's an Italian recipe I learned.
Paul, we got our oyster crackers right. Those look good. Can we eat them right now?
We can eat them right now.
Yeah. They look great.
They've come out really well.
Yeah.
I hope it works. But I just wanted to show you before I took them to the house.
All right. So we're gonna throw these in the oil. It's nice and hot. And I noticed you're using the white bread twice here. So you used it on the barbecue to make your breadcrumbs,
Right,
and then you breaded the actual white bread with the white breadcrumbs.
right. And then other than peanut butter, that's all I got.
These are gonna
So
cook quick.
They are. You just want them nice and brown. And the great thing about these, if you want to do them in advance, you can just pop them in the oven at 220 and warm them through gently. So you just do these in batches till you do as many as you want done.
I'm not doing oysters, Jeff. I'm doing
Nope.
watermelon.
I'm gonna start shucking. You don't eat the oysters, and I know Heather doesn't shuck the oysters.
Correct.
So
So
I'm going to shuck, and then I'm going to eat the oysters.
You go ahead.
But I'm going to get these started while you're telling me what you're going to do with the watermelon.
Okay, so I'm going to make a watermelon sorbet for cleaning the palate between the appetizer and the main.
So it goes without saying you both took up the whole barbecuing thing here quite a bit. We're deep frying, we're making ravioli, homemade marinara sauce.
We have an ice cream machine, so I wouldn't tackle this close to actually eating it if I didn't have the ice cream machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the watermelon. I'm actually going to take it in and put it in a blender and blend it. In that blend, I'm going to put some lemon and a couple of leaves of mint. I'm going to strain it, and then what's left in the bowl is going to be going in the ice cream maker.
So Heather, I see you brought your setup in front. You're working on the plate presentation points here. You're
Of
right
course.
in front of George. You're not even shameless at this point, right?
I
You're
am.
just going for the points. So what are you going to do? You're going to
Well,
Yeah,
I've heard
all
about
kinds of
this
things
cold
happen.
smoking thing that you can do with food, and I thought oysters are very fine, and maybe I could smoke them.
smoke and some ice.
Yeah.
All right, you get your smoke going, and I'll get the oysters set up. Well, I think you've got some points for presentation at this point.
Yeah, if nothing else, I win a presentation on the apps, maybe.
All right, well, let's let the smoke go to work on there. No, we'll let the smoke build up, and then we'll see where Paul's at. Shoshito peppers. Have you ever cooked with these, Paul?
Never.
Nope.
Nope.
Love them. One of my favorite things to do on the barbecue. They're just sort of gaining popularity right now. And you're just going with this little bit of olive oil?
A little bit of olive oil. They're going on the big green egg. Maybe blacken them, darken them, blister them,
Yeah,
so that I have an
just
idea
gonna
that they're
blister
cooked,
them,
and then we'll figure out what to do with them.
Heather, while Paul's getting his oysters going, I think we're all getting thirsty.
I always, of course, have my glasses ready in advance and back up if necessary. So just the cubed watermelon, it froze, put it in here, added some really good tequila, and then I'm just going to make the glass look pretty.
Going for the plate presentation,
I
even
know,
on the
we are.
beverages. So again, nothing on the barbecue here, but
But bribing
there's got to be some points when you start serving drinks to the judge.
anybody, right?
I'll let you go suck up to the judge and serve those. I'm going to help Paul with the oysters.
not to be too late, and if we're gonna kiss up. So, rimmed with salt. Go ahead and try it and see what you think.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wow. It's nice.
Good. All right. Bonus.
So what I'm doing here, Jeff, we've shucked these oysters. I got about a dozen, and I've done absolutely nothing to them. They're going on for about 2-3 minutes. Now the heat's pretty high. And then in 2-3 minutes, I'm gonna put a little bit more of that butter and some cheese on it. Another couple of minutes, then they're coming off. So the fluid in the oyster is starting to bubble. So I know they're starting to cook. I'm now adding some garlic herb butter, and then I'm gonna sprinkle some cheese on it. And when the cheese basically melts down, they're coming off. And then the judge is going to test them, and he's going to go, wow, what are the green things the shoshito pepper is going to add? They sure do look good, don't they? So it's presentation. This is the best I can do.
Let's head over and see if George is ready to dig into the 2 types of oysters. We'll leave him alone to his thoughts, and he will score
Fair enough.
the appetizer portion. Well, George, you've been watching the cooking going on. Now comes the best part. You get to taste all this. Heather, tell George what he's going to try from the gas barbecue.
I did the breadcrumbs, toasted them on the barbecue. I added a little bit of Parmesan cheese to them, and then we just did the sauce on the element on the side, which worked out great.
And your oysters have
And
been
then
smoking?
the oysters have been smoking, and even though we had a little struggle getting the wood going, we used a little bit of the charcoal from the egg. So I have both covered in my appetizers now, and so we're ready to unveil and go.
Paul, what about you?
So both of these represented my greatest challenge in this box of goodies. Plain white bread and oysters. I've already explained the dilemma. So what I've done with the plain white bread, I have made an oyster cracker. Now the oysters, they were shucked, so they were fresh. I've cooked them on the big green egg with an herb garlic butter and some fresh Parmesan cheese. So I talked about making the sorbet a little earlier. So just as a reminder, it's just watermelon, some lemon, and I think in the earlier discussion I forgot the agave syrup. Put it in the ice cream maker for about 20-30 minutes, and it's set up really, really nice. The idea behind the sorbet is to cleanse the palate from the oysters, all the garlic and the cheese and so on.
Judge, dig in. You guys have some more prep to do for the next round, and I might have to sit down and help judge some of this as well. Sorry, Judge is over there enjoying all that amazing food. We won't pressure him. He's got a lot of thinking to do, and we'll talk about the main course you're putting together. So you're going to tomatoes.
You gave us 2 other breads. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice these rather thin. I've got a good hot barbecue going, and I'm going to lay the slices on the barbecue. I'm going to dry them out a little bit because I don't want them to make my flatbread soggy along with my peppers. And I want to give them some flavor. So while I'm prepping everything else, these can just roast up and get happy. So that's where I'm at. So I've got one of these nice black sheets that will keep them from being directly on the grill and sticking.
Bringing out everything at this point in the game.
Yep.
I understand you're going with a sandwich.
I'm going with a sandwich.
I know
Jeff.
bread was a theme. We have 3 kinds of bread. You
Yep.
used one, fairly successfully in the first round. So I'm interested to see what you get. You have 2 more to work with.
I do. What I'm doing here is I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to kind of take some of the bread out and I'm going to stuff it.
Right.
So that with lots of cheese, lots of meat. I'm going to go in the house and get some sliced peppers, and they're all going inside here. Then it's going on the grill for about half an hour. All right, so there's no magic to this.
Stealing
I
Heather's
am
marinara.
stealing.
So this is a last minute add-on.
Yes.
You saw this and said,
Yes.
okay.
So we're just going to put a little sauce. Basically, it's cold meats and cheese fest.
You're adding a lot to the bread, and we have the 3 different kinds of bread we had in the box there. You're using them all, and you're putting a lot of other stuff in there. Are you sure the bread's still going to be the star here?
Absolutely. So for now, that will be the center of the sandwich.
That's it? I thought you were going to load it up. This is what you're putting on it. That's it for the cheese?
You want more?
I'm just saying the judge mentioned he likes
All right.
cheese. If we're going to use other ingredients, let's go for it.
You got it. That can go on now, and it's just going to sit for about 30 minutes.
Might take more than 30 minutes now. You added all that extra meat and cheese.
It might, Jeff, it just might.
So the chorizo was a box item, so we have to.
The chorizo is going on. It will go on the sandwich at the end.
I'll let you shred that up, and I'm going
Okay.
to see what Heather's up to next.
You go ahead.
This looks like an awful lot like what Paul did. Are you making a sandwich with this as well?
Yes.
Cheese and, all right, this is going to be really interesting because we're not only seeing who's going to be the better barbecue cook, but we have a lot of the same things happening. So we'll be really
So
comparing
imagine a husband and wife
apples
thinking
to apples.
alike.
Yeah,
alike.
it's almost kind of scary here.
Yeah, I'm doing, this is a vegetarian. So I am not using
Yeah,
the chorizo
I just
here.
want to say Paul's was not a vegetarian sandwich.
I make my own pesto, so seeing how I'm trying to think on the fly what to do with this, I've done this with tapenade too, but I'm brushing my bread, and I like provolone cheese just to change it up from the usual cheddars that most people use or Swiss on a sandwich. And I'm going to use a few of these on here, a little arugula. So I'm going to wrap it in foil, pop it on the barbecue to warm through just so it's nice and warm. It won't really be like an ooey gooey sandwich, but it'll just be nice and warm in the flavors because it's an oregano bread. Indirect heat and just warm it up nicely, and then we'll pop these on here to get nice and hot. So these are going on my
These are all
flatbread.
for your flatbread.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the flatbread?
So the flatbread, I'm doing a pizza style. I'm not going to use a pizza sauce base. I'm going to use a garlic oil base, and I'm going to grill it face down and then flip it over and put all my grilled vegetables and make a fresher,
All right.
lighter version.
I see melted cheese.
I see melted cheese as well, Jeff. Oh, we're getting there. Okay, let's give that 5.
Okay.
So this will be simply a garnish to the sandwich.
I love when you use chorizo as a garnish. There's something to be said about that.
You saw the meat, the sandwich, right?
Okay, Paul, we got everything coming off the grill at the same time. Lots going on. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about that, and I'll give Heather a hand over here.
What I'm going to do is I'm simply going to make a garnish to go on the sandwich. I'm going to do a couple of those. You get the idea. So while the sandwich is cooling down, I'll finish the garnish.
Oh, look getting fancy now.
How about that, huh?
Look at this. I keep going back to any time you are garnishing a sandwich with chorizo sausage, I'm there.
This
All
is simple. So I did a heavy garlic oil on here instead of doing the usual pasta sauce. Then I'm going to add my hot peppers and mushrooms and my shoshito, like my
Shoshito
other
peppers.
right shoshito peppers. I'm going to add a little more cheese, some fresh herbs, and it's not a meat lover's version, but it's nice, fresh, seasonal peppers.
So again, your sandwich is more vegetarian, your pizza's going to be more
yeah.
vegetarian. Again, we have
But
a
I've
real
got
contest
3
going on here.
cheeses.
Yeah.
I've got meat. It's just not meat heavy.
Paul, again, I say we've had a competition going on here, sandwich versus sandwich. Now it's pizza versus pizza. Heather just is finishing hers off right now. It's more vegetarian.
Yep.
You've got yours ready to go.
Not a lot of meat on this one. We did a lot of meat on the sandwich, but so it's flat bread, a little bit of tomato sauce. I have mozzarella cheese, blue cheese, provolone cheese, and chorizo.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's get it cooking. All right, George, looks like we got quite a selection in front of us. I find it interesting that without you guys comparing notes, you used all the ingredients, but you kind of both went sandwich and pizza, so we have a lot to compare to here. So
The sandwich that I did with the focaccia bread you gave us, and then it's a vegetarian, straight up. So no meat on it, but some good cheeses, some great summer peppers, and then I wrapped it in foil and got it nice and warm, so there's some good slip to it. The cheese is melted out. And I used some shoshito peppers on the pizza with the other peppers that I had, because we always have peppers in the fridge. And I grilled up the chorizo to give you that meat hit and that nice salty, bit of a spicy hit to it.
Paul, you kind of same thing, focaccia sandwich, but not a vegetarian one.
Definitely not. So the second phase of this cook, I've done a sandwich using the focaccia bread. So first I hollowed out the sandwich to reduce the amount of bread and make room for more meat. You'll notice that I have garnished the sandwich with an olive and chorizo sausage. So it's a meat lover's sandwich for sure. The pizza, I'm going to nickname this Black Bottom Pizza. So this is where I use the flat bread, and so it's a little bit of tomato sauce, freshly grated mozzarella cheese, smoked provolone. A chorizo is also on there, and I've put a little bit of arugula on at the end.
Good. Well, you both have used all the ingredients in amazing ways. We're going to dig in here. We're going to make some notes, and then we're going to let our judge score and tell you who the winner is today. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think?
Well, it was definitely tough. So the kind of basically almost have it in 2 rounds. Obviously, the appetizers and then the main course. So I actually took it and I split it down the middle as well. So use of ingredients in the first round for Paul, I had the 4, and for Heather, I had a 5. I think it was kind of the double use of it, and certainly the margarita helped on it. For barbecue skills in the first part, I gave Paul a 5 and Heather a 4 because he utilized a few more things about the grill. Obviously, it's a limited space. He had to do some timing better. But remember, I said charcoal grills can be tricky. Not hot enough, not hot enough, not enough, too hot. So we found that out in the last round too. That pizza stone takes a long time to heat up, but once it's hot, it's really challenging to get it down again.
And you did steal some charcoal out of the egg.
It helps my oysters.
For your smoked oysters.
And I had a category for stealing. I got a +1 and a +1. So I had to create a couple categories. So I had to try to make this.
Stealing
work.
was a tie then.
Stealing was a tie. Yeah.
All right.
So plate presentation on the first part, I had to give the edge to Heather. The oysters and everything that was under the plate. The smoking was good. Yeah. As far as taste goes, they were both incredible. So they each got 5s. Now that's just on the appetizer round. So the main course was probably even harder because we had 2 pizzas, 2 sandwiches. One pizza was better than the other. The sandwich is better than the other. You know, lots of ingredients came from outside of the box, which is challenging too because everybody was adding a lot of different things, which made for incredible meals. So on the main course, I gave them both a 4 for use of ingredients. I think I took up a waypoint because of all the stealing from the fridge and stuff like that.
Okay.
Paul, I think won in the barbecue skills. Again, a 5 out of 4. On the plate presentation, I gave Heather the edge just because of her pizza was incredibly looking.
See, I find it challenging to not pick somebody who garnishes a sandwich with chorizo sausage. I think for me that trumps a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Paul's pizza was a 3 out of 5, and Heather's was a 5 out of 5. And then the sandwich was the opposite. There was a 5 out of 5 for the sandwich. Paul's sandwich is incredible. So what it came down to is the best dressed. I gave Paul a 4. It's a nice shirt. But Heather's chef outfit was a 5.
So overall, you need to answer the question for us.
Yeah.
Who truly is a better barbecue cook, the husband or the wife?
At the end of the day, I got to give it to Heather.
There you go, Heather. It is.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Congratulations, Heather. Well,
Now, I will say that I mean, when we do dinner parties, Paul's on the grill. It's not me. I do everything else, and he's the grill
win,
king.
even
so,
though
but
right now,
I know,
husbands all
I
around
know.
the city of London are
Yeah.
going, Just to, thanks, Paul and Heather, for bringing
You're
us
welcome.
to your backyard again. I know we filmed here before. We did an earlier episode, and we had a lot of fun, and we ate some great food then. And for you to challenge each other and say, let's do this again and let's find out what was great. We appreciate it. So thanks for the hospitality and the use of your backyard and your barbecues. George, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, being here today, judging. I know it's not easy. There's some great food that comes out, and there's a lot happening, so I appreciate that. And thanks to everybody for making a great evening. That's super. Thank you.